Hey guys, and welcome back to Texas Cooking Today. Hey, what we're doing today is talking about electrics. Now, this is part of a series that I did for the Basic Cooking and Basic Kitchen 101 series, the playlist that I've set up. And I've been wanting to do this for some time now, but just haven't gotten around to it, and I thought, I gotta get this done. So this is all about electric appliances. What do you need to buy and when do you need to buy them? And I decided to approach this a little bit different way. A lot of people have already decided what they want and are looking at different brands and things like that, okay? And there's a lot of comparisons out there. That's wonderful. I think America's Test Kitchen does a great job comparing things, so you might want to look at their stuff, those comparisons. The reason I did this show was to give you some idea of what you should be looking for first if you're interested in purchasing electric appliances. I mean, for me, hey, you know, I used a hand can opener for years, but eventually I got around to saying, hey, I think I'll spend the $20 and get an electric can opener. Okay, so I've got this electric can opener now. It's back there somewhere. Anyway, it's sort of like what you should look at and when, and what you should look at in what capacity, and what you might want to avoid. So here's the thing of it. Let's take a look at some of the gadgets and ideas that you can look into and start this conversation on what do I spend my money on first. So let's take a look at this. Our little adventure down Electric Row, the first thing I would like to say is that you can just totally clog your kitchen with electrics, okay? Electrics can be both a blessing and they can be, well, something of a nightmare. So the thing of it is, you know, back here I've got some stuff I use occasionally. This is my hand blender. I don't use a regular blender. I have other devices that seem to give me results that are just a little better than I get with a blender. Coffee grinder. Here's something that I pulled out that has not been used literally in 30 years, okay? This thing is, was, I believe, purchased in 1978. And I believe it was purchased by my family, my mother. She gave this to me in the early 80s when she got a Cuisinart. And I used it for a while, but then I got another machine that worked so much better than this. That's not a food processor, and we'll go into that later. But it did such a good job, I just didn't need this thing anymore. Between using just a standard box grater, my knives, and this other machine, I had really no need for this, so it just sort of sat in the cabinet for so long that now it's just kind of all turned yellow, and the plastic is starting to crack. And really, it's a useless machine at this point. I have it for no other reason than to just show it on a show like this, okay? It is a totally useless machine for me. Now let's take a look over this other way here. We've got a few other goodies. Things that you may not need up front are things such as a food dehydrator or a vacuum sealer. Now, believe it or not, vacuum sealer, if you're a real frugal person, can be somewhat useful. I purchase a lot of chicken breasts at a time, and then I will vacuum seal and freeze those chicken breasts. Well, now if I'm just wanting a really high quality chicken breast, it's not going to get me there. But if I'm making tacos or fajitas during the week, it's perfect. Okay, so a vacuum sealer is great for me, but it may be just a really stupid idea for you if you only if you go shopping like every week. You've always got fresh meat. You don't freeze your meat. All right, now I purchase in bulk, so there's a lot of things I do freeze. The food dehydrator. Most folks, let's face it, we don't need a food dehydrator, all right? And that's crazy. Other electrics are very handy, such as a toaster oven. We all like toasted bread. And if you get just a regular toaster, you're kind of consigned to whatever will fit in those 2 little slots, okay, or the 4 little slots, whichever you get. Looking at a toaster oven, it gives you a much more versatile machine that takes up not much more space. So it gives you something that you can actually bake things in, and that you can brown and keep things warm in. It's very versatile, so consider a toaster oven, very handy. Also your microwave oven. This is very, very common in the kitchen. Now you see some right back here. We have, of course, a toaster oven, a microwave oven, and then of course, no, you're not seeing double. That's actually a couple of KitchenAids there. But thing of it is these are really, really indispensable machines right here. The microwave is just so handy in heating water or melting butter and stuff like that. It's terrible for cooking food. Just if you're going to seriously cook and you're thinking of using a microwave, then you've seriously lost your mind, because microwaves just don't do a very good job when it comes to actually cooking. You put a steak in a microwave and you've just ruined your steak. It'll ruin the flavor of it, it'll ruin the texture of it, it'll maul it. The only meat that a microwave cooks properly, in fact it does a fantastic job of it, is bacon. So your meat has to have this extraordinary amount of fat in it in order to cook properly in a microwave. Otherwise, it's just not really worth using. It ruins vegetables. Some people like it for potatoes. I tried that, and the results were only semi-satisfactory. Baking still works better. So, thing of it is, microwave, great thing to have, but don't place too much importance on it. Don't get a real expensive one up front. Later on down the road, if you think you need a fancier one, then do it. Toaster oven, just get you a decent toaster oven. It's going to work wonders for you for years to come. Now, these mixers over here, let's talk about that for a minute. Mixer. If ever there was one thing that I wanted to impress upon you as far as something that you needed for the kitchen, that would certainly be the mixer. Mixer is frequently referred to as the workhorse of the kitchen, and believe me, it really is. The mixer has to be there if you're going to be doing any serious work with dough and stuff like that. Because dough, unless you've got some strong arms, or unless you're just really wanting a great workout, dough is going to beat you to pieces, okay? To knead a loaf of dough is one thing. To knead 2 at a time is another. And these mixers behind me will do actually 2 loaves at a time each. So turning over dough in this kitchen isn't a problem. If you're only doing, like I said, 1 loaf, you may want to consider other methods, such as autolyzing. That'll get you by until you get a mixer. But here's the thing of it. When you're looking for the workhorse of the kitchen, and I'm not going to tout brands like I didn't do in the first of this series. When you're looking for a mixer, what you want to look at is expandability. And that's the same way on pretty much any electric. Is that electric consigned to doing a single job, or can it do multiple jobs? A coffee maker pretty much just makes coffee. You can do tea in it also if it's bagged tea. But for the most part, let's face it, that's all it does is brew. A dehydrator is going to dehydrate food. It won't chop anything for you. It won't cut anything or process anything for you. All it's going to do is dry things out, okay? And it takes a lot of space. So like I said, your electrics can quickly consume you if you just go out and randomly buy things because they're neat. Be really careful in what you consider. Now this whole mixer idea, if you get one that's expandable, that thing will do all kinds of jobs for you that will supplant the need for buying other electrics. The machine to my side here, I can purchase attachments for it that do any kind of processing I want to do, whether it be blending, whether it be food processing. They actually have a processor attachment for it. Making ice cream, I don't have to have a separate ice cream machine. They have an attachment for that. If I want to extrude pasta or just roll it out on pasta rollers, they've got that, man. These things plug right into the front of certain types of mixers. There's a brand made in France, which is a very strong machine, very worthwhile, and has a lot of accessories that you can get with it. And a brand that's made here in the United States that's a fantastic machine. And you really need to look at these things closely. Is the mixer I'm buying something I can purchase attachments and do other things outside of a mixer's normal job? Is it expandable? That's what you want to ask yourself. Certain ones are. And I'll tell you what right now, that is the one to target. That's the one to get, the one that's expandable, because you've got one large motor that's powerful that can do anything you want. I can grind my meat without a separate meat grinding machine. I don't have to buy a hand grinder. That's a hard job. These heavy workhorse jobs is what you want that mixer for. Making cake batter, fluffing eggs or cream into a beautiful light whipped cream, all kinds of things that they can do. So look closely at those electric appliances. Are they expandable? Is it something you really need right now, or is it something that can wait for later on? You know, good ideas of things that can wait till later on. Your bean grinder for coffee, unless you're just a coffee purist, let's face it, that can wait for a while, okay? It's not an essential item for any kitchen. Now, other things, your food processor. Man, I haven't used it, like I said, in 30 years. Between my knives, a box grater, and this machine over here, I haven't needed it. All right? So, consider this. What's expandable and what do you really need? Is it just going to sit on the shelf? Is it just cool, or is it really practical? Do you need a machine that makes smoothies, or is the blender going to be sufficient for that job? You got to think about that. I mean, really, do you need a blender and the smoothie maker? That's just crazy. So you got to kind of pick and choose and get the right thing. Otherwise, like I said, your kitchen will become monumentally clogged with junk that rarely ever, if never, gets used. So I've got an ice cream maker. It gets used every couple of years. And I've got a few other things like my meat slicer. It gets used once or twice a year. And that takes up a massive amount of space. I've got a huge deep fat fryer. But how do I do my frying? I put the oil in a pan on a stove and fry like that. So why do I need this deep fat fryer? It sits there on my shelf. Not really getting a whole lot of use. I just don't need it, really. They're kind of convenient, but when you get right down to it, there's a deep fat fryer. There's even baskets that fit inside of it for that. And if you want to be cheap about it, you can just use a regular strainer basket. That'll work inside of it too. So, be practical in your purchasing. Consider a workhorse for the kitchen. Save your money for it, because those monsters back there will do so much work for you. It's unbelievable. And they take the work out of being in a kitchen and turn it back into the fun of being in the kitchen. So be careful about your appliances. As far as what brand you buy, that's strictly up to you. All I'm going to say is do a lot of research on this stuff. Really research it carefully. What is the machine providing you, and what are you getting for your dollar? If you save 50 bucks but you can't hook up any other devices to the machine, then what good is it? And also look at these the test reviews. You'll learn some really eye-opening things on those. Well, there it is, guys. There's not much more to say about appliances other than what I've already told you. Remember the workhorse of the kitchen. That's a good way to start your purchases, and the necessary items, the stuff you really want to use on a regular daily basis, that should come first. All right. Hey, thank you very much for watching Texas Cooking Today in this episode. If you have subscribed, I would like to say thank you very, very much for your subscription. And if you haven't subscribed, well, gosh, guys, what are you waiting for? Great recipes coming out, fantastic techniques, some stuff that you haven't seen before, and, well, just a good time. You guys have a good day. Hey guys, thank you for watching Texas Cooking Today. Do appreciate it. If you would, please subscribe. If you liked this, just click like down there, and if you would, I would really appreciate it if you add me to your favorites. Thank you.